Hey everybody, it's Mr. Haskell, and I'm back with more things that you should know by being alive. And today I want to talk about an event. I want to talk about the Wounded Knee Massacre. So let's just here we go. In the late 1890s, Native American nations across the Great Plains were being systematically displaced by the U.S. expansion. And the Lakota Sioux had already lost their sacred land in the Black Hills, and had been confined to reservations. Food was scarce, promises made in treaties were broken, hope was fading, and then a special moment happens. The ghost dance happens. It's a spiritual movement that was rooted in Native prophecy that promised a renewal, the return of the buffalo, the retreat of white settlers, and the resurrection of ancestors. Now, government authorities didn't see the ghost dance as prayer. Instead, they see it as a rebellion, and so we have a rise in tension. Now, as far as like who's going to be involved in this process, well, the Lakota band involved at Wounded Knee was led by a man known as Spotted Elk. He was also known as Bigfoot. He was a chief that was gravely ill with pneumonia as he led his people toward the Pine Ridge Reservation for safety. Now, the U.S. Army's 7th Cavalry, Custer's old unit, intercepted the group and escorted them to Wounded Knee Creek on December 28, 1890. And the next day would become one of the darkest days in American history. So, on December 29th of 1890, soldiers attempted to disarm the Lakota at the camp. And accounts differ on what exactly started the violence, but one thing is pretty clear. Within minutes, gunfire erupts. The Lakota were surrounded. The soldiers used a Hotchkiss cannon. These were powerful guns that were capable of firing explosive shells, and they used them against women, children, and the elders. Some estimates say as many as 300 Lakota were killed. Many died while trying to flee. Dozens of bodies were later found frozen in the snow. One survivor later said that they were killing without pity. And so this was not a battle, it was a massacre. And 25 U.S. soldiers were killed, largely by friendly fire. Yet, shockingly, 20 medals of honor were awarded to members of the 7th Cavalry for their actions that day, medals that Native activists still fight to have rescinded. The public response was mixed. Some newspapers condemned the army. Others praised the quelling of resistance. But over time, the truth became harder to deny. Mass graves, dead children, frozen bodies of mothers still clutching their infants. This event marks the end of armed Native resistance in the American West. But also, it begins the growing call for justice, for land rights, and also for recognition. So, in 1973, the American Indian movement, AIM, returned to Wounded Knee and occupied the town for 71 days. They demanded an end to corruption, they wanted better enforcement of treaty rights, and they wanted national attention to systematic abuse of natives. It wasn't just about 1890. It was about just an entire, not entire, but centuries of broken promises. The occupation at Wounded Knee drew FBI intervention, national press, and renewed discussion of native sovereignty. So Wounded Knee had become more than a tragedy, it became a symbol. Now, why this still matters today? Well, Wounded Knee remains a site of mourning and memory. Descendants of those who died there still hold ceremonies at Wounded Knee. and debates, they still continue. Should those medals of honor be rescinded? Has the United States government ever fully acknowledged what happened? How do we honor the past while supporting Native communities today? So, understanding Wounded Knee means facing uncomfortable truths about U.S. history. Not just for closure, though. It's also for justice. So if this moved you, if please, leave a like behind or a comment or a follow, and there'll be more things you should know by being alive. Because remembering Wounded Knee isn't just about what happened in 1890. It's about what we do with that memory now. All right. Thank you for watching.